pretty tough. He's a Republican dragon with his truthful slight. Fights the battles unseen in the shadows of the night. From policy to passion, he breaks it all down, giving a voice to the voiceless, wearing his crown. Caffeine-fueled mornings, the smoke curls dance. Fluffy at his feet, giving life one more chance. Through algorithms and bias, he cuts straight and clear. Michael's roar echoes in the hemisphere. Michael Bass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the bluff. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough. No soundbites allowed is his ultimate creed. A dragon's perspective where facts are the seed. Standing tall on his battlefield of thoughts, guarding the truth that others forgot. Michael Bass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the rough. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough.
All right. Trying out a new system once again. Earlier in the week, we were trying Rumble, and the Rumble Studio didn't work out as well as I wanted yesterday. Today, I'm trying a different system. This is Restream. Trying to make it possible so that if people want to join into the program, we used to be able to take phone calls. And so I'm trying to find another system that'll let me take phone calls or have people join me while I'm doing the show to speak with you. So please give me some leeway as we're testing different systems, trying to find a thing that works the very best for all of you. That being said, I thank you, each and every one of you who are checking this out. This is a little bit last minute. It's now 7:17 on June 24th, Eastern Standard Time. And we're taking a moment just to speak with you guys because I'm just amazed right now. This has been one hell of a week. We're not even 6 months into the Trump administration, and the world has changed. I was talking to a couple people earlier today, some of my peers in political commentary and some friends in general, and we were talking about, my God, look at what has changed. There are presidents who have spent they've had 2 terms, 8 years, and haven't accomplished or even attempted to accomplish as much as what we've been seeing happening right now under the Trump administration, and we haven't hit the 6-month mark. We haven't hit 200 days yet. This is amazing. And there's a lot of pro and con to that, and I think it's important to mention that. By the way, thank you, John. John is with us, and he's like, got to fight the suppression that's out there from YouTube, that's out there from Google and from the mainstream media, where they only want you to have the approved messaging and not think about anything, not talk about anything, not do anything except obey. And so, John, I want to thank you for your comment. Thank you for including that in the program. I look forward to hearing everyone's thoughts. And by the way, whether you agree or disagree, I'm always happy to have you here with us. This is a conversation with you and me, and I'm happy to have that conversation, even if you disagree, because that's how we make things better. That's how we improve the country. At least that's the way I've always seen it. I see no reason why that's wrong. By the way, do let me know if you are interested in jumping in. I do have one person who may be joining us right about now. Give me 2 seconds to get everything's prepped for him. There we go.
Mike, how's it going? There I am.
It's going well. All right. So I haven't completely screwed up the system here. It's working. You're on live.
No, you haven't.
So this is a slightly different format. And again, this is a little bit experimental today, but I wanted to talk about what's happening right now. For those who don't know, John is a friend of mine. He's worked with me. Actually, he worked for me back in the college days. And, but in and of himself, he's a wonderful, brilliant mind, does some great research, doesn't always agree with me, but sometimes he does. And
sometimes, yeah.
And I know you're here with us now, so I wanted to hear, because the thing that gets me, and the three things that I wanted to talk about right now, we are being told by CNN. Let me see if I can bring this up onto.
Sure.
I don't even know how to do this properly. I'm going to try and share this. So if you're listening to people like CNN right now, they're trying to tell us that, oh my God, you just don't understand. You just don't understand. It's, Trump is failing. The polls are all saying everyone in America is against Donald Trump. Everyone in the world is against Orange Man bad. He is falling down in poll after poll. That's what you're getting from CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, New York Times, the left-leaning news media. The thing that they're not really putting out there and making clear for everyone, and let me see if I can replace this now. No. Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to, this is a new system for me, folks, so bear with me. Takes a step-by-step approach here. I don't know if you, what are we doing here? No, I want it there. That's what I wanted. Okay. Now, this is coming from, I don't know if you've seen this, John. This is the presidential job approval. This is from Real Clear Politics. It is a neutral site. And this is the message that isn't coming out to the public. I don't think anyone is quoting this. That if you were to look overall at how President Trump has been doing since he's been in office and compare that to the first term of Donald Trump, he's actually doing better than he did as the 45th president, now as the 47th. He's actually doing better now than he did then. They're telling us he's falling apart, and I just showed you CNN saying, oh my God, it's all falling apart. He's actually going up in the ratings. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, part of the reason is you have to remember during his first term, it was a lot of guesswork. And he went through a lot of people in his administration because he didn't know who was good, who was bad. He has a steady administration right now. The people, he's used to DC. I imagine this term was going to be a lot more successful than his first term, and he's showing that every single step of the way. I think that's what people forget, that he went to DC as an outsider, didn't know who to rely on, establishment people, recommending people, and getting his bearings for never going to DC. Usually you're a Congress, you have some idea how it navigates. He went in completely blind other than being a donor for, X amount of years. He's finally got his rhythm. He knows how to get things done. I imagined this was going to be very successful for him. I didn't know it would be this successful, though. I didn't know he would be doing this well so early on, because we aren't even done with year one.
Well, no, we're not done with what's going on in Iran. And I think that's, actually, we are. We were told that, and I think this is important. I'm going to come to that in just a second. We were told that Donald Trump broke the law, that he's unconstitutional, that bombing the nuclear sites in Iran, first we were told this is World War III. We're now into World War III. And everyone was fear-mongering. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm the only one on the internet that was out every day saying this is not World War III. Right. That if anyone's telling you it's World War III, they're wrong. They completely missed what's going on. I was the only one saying this. And everyone else, left and right, and the independents were all saying, oh my God, it's World War III. We're going to be in a forever war, never-ending war in the Middle East. We're starting with Iran. It's going to be, and everyone else, China and Russia, are going to jump in. And I told everyone that's not true. Am I wrong? Was there anyone else saying
no,
what I
I
was
didn't
saying?
hear anyone else. I think people on the ground knew. From people I talked to, the general consensus was this isn't going to go any farther. I had multiple friends tell me that. news media hyped it up to be way, way bigger than it was. And you were one of the only voices in the media actually willing to say, no, this isn't going to be World War III. This isn't going to happen.
Yeah. But not only did they say that this was going to be a World War III, you should be terrified. You should hide under your desk. And remember, vote Democrat. Just vote blue because orange man bad. And it's going to be an eternal war because that's what they would do. That's exactly how they would have done this. Is it would have been an eternal war because they didn't want to just stop. They loved, as my friends on the libertarian side, they love to say the military industrial complex. People like Obama and Clinton, you could even say the Bushes, loved the military industrial complex. They were looking forward to having a very long war. Israel was probably looking forward to having a very long war, wiping out all the leadership of Iran. I mean, they said they wanted to assassinate the Ayatollah, and then they were told not to. And Trump went in and said, oh, this is all about the nuclear sites. Take them out. So the response from Democrats was, we're so upset that you did that. This was unconstitutional. This was illegal. And we're going to impeach you. Am I summing it up correctly there? Am I overstating it? Am I making it, am I bashing the Dems on this?
No, the Dems got their way. If they, for some reason, had the vote go through the House, Congress, powers and wartime powers exist for it. Could not have been done if we had waited and we had gone through this long drawn out process. Then we would have a very different scenario. We would not have strike nuclear bases.
I guarantee you Maxine Waters or Ilhan Omar or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Anna Presley, they would have leaked this information. If he went to Congress first, there would have been a leak. Because this was something that was in the plannings, I think, since March. I think this was going on since March when the Ayatollah said no to the deal. They came up with a backup plan. And I think this was it. And there would have been but even if it wasn't exactly then, there would have been a leak if Donald Trump went to Congress, told Nancy Pelosi, told AOC, told Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, if he let the progressives find out about this, and they would have told Iran, and this would never, we'd be in a forever war. This would not have worked.
Absolutely. We would have gone to war, and who knows what Israel being threatened with nuclear weapons. They wanted the regime change. We stepped in, obviously, at the perfect time. We did everything by the book. We did it right. If the Dems got their way, like they're complaining, and they tried to do the impeachment vote for, we would have been having a whole different talk. We would then have to go in, do the nation building, figure out who's going to pick up that power vacuum if the Ayatollah is dead. It's thank God that we have these wartime powers, and it's built in to the presidency. He did nothing wrong.
Well, no, he did nothing wrong. By the way, I'm not in love with the War Powers Act. I'm not in love with the authorized use of military forces from 2001. I'm not in love with that. I don't like it. It gives way too much leeway for any president to just go start fighting wars. I mean, Obama used it to bomb American citizens who had never been charged with a crime while they were overseas in Yemen. I'm absolutely against the AUMF, authorized use of military force. But the fact is, it exists, it is legal, and Donald Trump used it. Just like Obama did, just like Clinton did, just like every other president has. He didn't do anything illegal. And that's what I think drives the Democrats nuts, is he's not breaking the law. They just didn't think anyone would use the law against them. And so they're pissed off. And that led to all these people saying Trump was unconstitutional and it was illegal and he was going to get impeached again. And I think this is like the fourth time they've tried to impeach him. And did you see, I'm pretty sure you saw this, and I'm trying to make my system work. Nope, that's not doing it. Okay. I love this system. It's a brand new system. I'm trying to work this out, folks. Bear with me. So the news came out earlier today, and I just pulled the Hill, but you can use any media you want. The House today, Representative Al Green, a Democrat, taking the hit for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's the real cheerleader behind this. The leader of the Democratic Nationalists, Democratic Socialists, and the head of the progressive movement at this time, along with Bernie Sanders. She was out there and she said, oh, no. Trump is unconstitutional. We have to impeach him. He committed a crime. Al Green said, I'll do it for you, because she wants to run for senator, if not president. And so Al Green said, I'm going to put in this yes, it's an impeachment resolution. Grace has it right. It's an impeachment resolution. This is how you start the impeachment process. And so they went out there and said, okay, we're going to put this out there. And it failed. Now, I don't know if everyone out there knows this, but you can see in the news media, and this is right-leaning, they're not emphasizing how bad this was. The vote was 344 to 79. That's Democrats. That's a hell of a lot of powerful Democrats. Adam Schiff, we're talking, well, not Adam Schiff, Pelosi, and what's that?
Hakeem Jeffries voted to not impeach the president. That's another big one.
Yeah, I think that was huge. And in fact, for all the hype out there and for all this messaging that, oh my God, Trump has done something unconstitutional, Thomas Massey, the big hero of the libertarians, the one who's like, Trump, this was unconstitutional. Trump had no right to do this. This was breaking our country. How dare they do this? This is what they were saying. Not just the Democrat, not just the progressives, but also Thomas Massey said this. Thomas Massey voted that this was not impeachable. So he's telling you it's unconstitutional. He's saying that there's an overreach of the president, along with all these Democrats on national TV saying that, oh, we couldn't do this. We're going to go into World War III. When it came time to actually shut up and vote, put their name behind it, even Thomas Massey, who's like, it's unconstitutional, just like AOC, shut up, and he actually just voted and said, no, Trump is okay. I don't want to hear anything from the libertarians. Don't tell me about World War III. You're wrong. Don't tell me Trump did something unconstitutional. Your own guy said, no, it's not. As much as he's getting FaceTime, he voted and said, no, it's not unconstitutional, because he could have been there with AOC.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. Did you know that?
I suspected he probably voted no. I know he's been shouting about it. Full disclosure, I've met Thomas Massey, nice guy. I have no problem with him. It makes sense that he's going to now toe the party line, because he's also getting threatened to be primary too, to be fair. But he also kind of showed him his real colors here. I think you're completely right, Mike.
Well,
he showed his real colors.
I'm not talking about him as a person. I've covered him at events before. I don't think he's a bad man. I'm not saying that he's an evil person.
No.
We're talking about politics. We're talking about positions. We're talking about running the government. And Thomas Massey, who is a libertarian, he's a Republican, but he's a libertarian in name. And I have nothing against him. I have nothing against libertarians. But I want to make sure that people understand, when I've been saying for the last 12 days, this is not unconstitutional. And they're like, no, but Thomas Massey said it's unconstitutional, so it's unconstitutional. Well, Thomas Massey just voted that it was constitutional. Yeah. He just voted for Trump. And, you know, I'm showing everyone so that you can see this for yourself. The links will be in after the show, but this is roll call vote 175, happened today. It's bill. The bill was HRES 537, introduced into the House. And you can see the vote here for yourself. So I'm showing you, I'm not making this up. I'm not hiding anything from you guys. And the mainstream news media, like I showed you with the Hill, you're not going to hear them actually tell you the bill number. They're not going to tell you how to find it. They're not going to tell you how you can see how your local politician voted. They won't tell you that. I will. I want you to see this so that you can see where your people, you know what? Let's check out. We know that 128 Democrats voted for Donald Trump, saying that this was constitutional. I want you to see. Let's find out if we can find. I'm going to go by the Democrats, and let's see who voted. Let's see. Maxine Waters. Is that? They're not showing her. How did she vote? All votes. Maxine Waters. She voted with AOC. She said, "Oh my God, it's unconstitutional." Okay. How about Pelosi? Voted that it was constitutional. She voted with Thomas Massey. Name another. Tell me, anyone. What do you think, John? Give me a name.
Schiff.
Democrats.
We'll go Adam Schiff. Yeah, Democrats. Adam Schiff. Yeah.
Schiff? No, Schiff is in Senate. They didn't vote. That's
is he in Senate? I thought he was.
Yeah.
He was in the House. Okay.
No, he just got into the Senate because of Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, that's right.
Dying.
Yes.
In office because of it. So name someone else.
God, I can't even name any House members. How about Josh Riley, moderate himself? He tends to put the party.
Josh Riley of New York voted that this was constitutional. Now, I'm pointing this out, folks, because I want you to see the hypocrisy, the absolute hypocrisy that's coming from the Democrats. And for some people who are independent, that they're telling you on TV, oh, this is unconstitutional, this was a crime, this is terrible. Okay, that means you could vote to impeach Donald Trump. He broke the law. They're voting that no, he didn't. You can see the vote for yourself. He didn't. He didn't break the law. This was constitutional. This was legal. Just as legal as it was for Obama and for Clinton and for both the Bushes. This isn't any different than what we have seen before, as I have spent a lot of time getting beat up on for telling people. And that's sad. And I know there's a couple of comments here. Rick, thank you, Rick, for being here with us. Says, my good friend, Larry Sharp, who is my very good friend, a libertarian. Larry is upset because there are elections tonight in New York City for the mayor. And it's miserable because we're either going to get Mamdani as the Democratic choice for mayor, which means communism in New York City, which will be a complete and abject failure. It will be embarrassing, but it will hurt people. Or we'll get Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced governor, who was allegedly, and according to Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat, committed 11 acts of sexual harassment and or abuse, and Democrats are all behind him. So I understand. I like my friend Larry Sharp, who's a libertarian. I have no way to vote. I'm a Republican. I can't vote in that. So I understand that. Let's see here. There's a couple of other comments here. So actually, before I get to that, Rick came in with the super chat, $5. And Rick said, the problem with this line is the Constitution has been violated for the last 75 or 80 years when we stopped having wars and started having conflicts. I'm not saying you're completely wrong there, Rick, but I think and John, you tell me if I'm wrong, we have to have a system where we're playing with one set of rules.
Yeah.
As long as if we start playing by one set of rules, holding Republicans and Democrats to the same standard, and that standard ideally should be the same as for the regular citizens. But if we hold them all to one standard, then we can go forward and fix things. Yeah. But if we have a two-tiered justice system and everything's subjected to, do you have a moon tan? Do you have a sun tan? Do you know whether you're a boy or a girl? If everything is just subjective and fluid, then there's no law. There's no consistency. Yeah. Everything's a mess. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Absolutely. I think you're right on the money as always on this one, Mike. Absolutely. Now, here's the question.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, he didn't do anything unconstitutional, and I haven't heard anyone ask this question yet. A lot of these politicians got into office because of the resist Trump, stop Trump, do whatever it takes to stop Trump. And that's the DNC's messaging right now. We have to stop Trump, stop Trump. Now is the time that they could have attempted to, and they didn't. Even if it was completely unconstitutional, right, or constitutional. Do you think that the DNC starts losing even more donors than they actually already are because they aren't backing up what their promises were for resistance, resist Trump, resist Trump? Do you think this actually hurts the DNC in the long run?
Yes, it hurts the DNC. It actually hurts third parties. It hurts America.
Yeah.
Because we have no confidence anymore. We're losing confidence in the institutions, the credibility of the institutions. I'm talking about the news media. I'm talking about the political parties. We're losing our confidence in them, and they are a major part of our system in making sure that voices are heard, that people are willing to speak up, because it's difficult. I mean, I've run for 2 offices now.
Yep.
It is expensive. It is time consuming. It is a pain in the ass. There is no doubt about that. I was going for relatively low level, Congress, high level, couldn't raise enough money to be competitive there. I got shut out. My voice got killed because I couldn't raise enough money. And we're seeing that. My good friend, Larry Sharp, he needs at least $2 million to be competitive. It's not that he's not knowledgeable. It's not that he's not good enough. He needs $2 million just to be heard. It's ridiculous the amount of money you have to spend. But imagine if you didn't have any help. I mean, if there was no party whatsoever that people could rally behind and know, okay, at least I can hear this person, like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, Conservative Party, as examples. At least I have somewhere to go and say, okay, well, these guys at least think like I do. Is there anyone that kind of lines up with all these ideas we all have that we can then donate to or vote for or yell at and email as a group and say, here's 10,000 votes that you may not get, 10,000 donations you may not get if you don't do what we say. We're your constituents. You're not listening to us. And that's the problem with Democrats being found to be so incompetent, to be so far off, so detached from the public, is why should I have confidence anymore?
Yeah.
They're not listening anymore. They don't care. They're dictating. They're neo-nobles dictating to us rather than serving us. Why should I be involved? And I think that's why we see so much apathy in the voting. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I think also people aren't buying their lines hook, line, and sinker anymore, even if they're far, far left. As we saw from David Hogg pledging to raise all this money. He's the far left progressive voice, only raising 1.5 out of the 20 million he planned. I see the Dems losing money even more now because of this vote. And I see the Democrats don't really have a strategy, and I don't see the progressive ideology pushing them. I don't know if people believe in it at this point. I think the Democrats have boxed themselves into a corner, whether they like to at this point. And Trump kind of played them, too. He even said, attempt to impeach me. Go ahead. To quote Dirty Harry, make my day. That's what he said. And they tried to call him out on his bluff. And yet again, he knew he wouldn't get impeached. It makes them look weak.
It's worse than just that. I mean, he knew he had solid legal grounds. I mean, that's part of the reason why the Supreme Court just came out with a decision and said, yes, you can deport illegal aliens to El Salvador or any other country around the world and send them away because they're not our problem. They're not American citizens. They don't have the same rights as American citizens. They never did. It was just some feeling that some Democrat had said, oh, well, I feel like they should be treated like American citizens. They should have the rights of American citizens. Well, that's not the law. And so, no, you are an illegal alien. We can deport you, and we can deport you anywhere. It's not our requirement. We're not required or obligated to send you back to where you came from. We can send you anywhere, and your country can go get you, or they can make a deal with us to take you back. It's not our requirement to make sure you're okay. You're not our obligation. You're not a constituent. And I again, another win, because Trump is following the law. But it's not just in that. All of these things that have been happening have been setting up a series of events. Trump's now dominating the world.
Yeah.
The news came out earlier today. NATO, the members of NATO met since Trump in 45, from 2016 to 2020. Trump was saying NATO needs to get off their ass. They need to spend more money, stop relying on America to be the super cop of the world, to take care of every one of their problems, and more importantly, to pay for all of their problems on our backs. It's like, no, defend your own country, at least a little bit. You spend more. We're tired of funding. The reason why France can afford a strike every other month, and why they can just not work every day. The reason why they're super leftist liberals is because America's paying for their defense. They don't have to build up an army and be able to defend their people, because they'll just call on America to do it.
Right.
I mean, that's what Macron was doing. He was telling America, oh, you should go and fight in the Ukraine. The French will run it, of course, but send American troops into the Ukraine and defend the Ukraine for France, but use American troops, and France won't pay for any of it. I'm like, you're out of your mind. And now, today, they all said they're going to pay 5%.
Yeah.
To put it in context for people who don't know, I don't know if you know this, John. Do you know how much on average, what most of the NATO nations are paying right now?
Is it less than 1? It's got to be 1 to 2%, right?
1.5% to 2% on average.
Okay.
1.5% to 2%. They considered it a big deal that France and I think it was not the UK, France and I believe Italy were going to 2 to 2.5%. And Europe was just like, oh my God, that's such a huge increase. We've been asking them to do that for decades. Trump has been asking them since he's been in for 3 to 5% each time he's been in. And they're like, oh, goody. You went to 2.5%. Oh my God, that is so incredible. That just tells you how much they use America, which is driving up inflation in America.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And also making us the cop of the world, so that we have to be involved because they're not paying for anything. They've delegated that entire concern to America. You go out and be the cop, be the bad guy. You do all the law enforcement. They get to reap all the rewards for their people. By the way, in case people are wondering, what you're seeing on the screen this is Deutsche Welle. This is the German news. Again, we only use credible news sources whenever possible. Almost always left-leaning news sources. So that's Deutsche Welle's reporting on this. So again, I'm not making this stuff up, but go ahead. You tell me something. Tell me what you're feeling about this.
No, I think it's good. I'm glad obviously NATO's paying its fair share, or at least starting to. It's a good start. It's a good start to things. And I just think if you're a libertarian at this point, you're an isolationist, you don't want to get involved in military action, you should be thrilled with these decisions that NATO is starting to pay their defenses. You should be thrilled with Trump's decision to not send American troops. I mean, he's doing it. He ended the war, got no Americans killed, didn't risk any lives in the process of America. This is great. Ceasefire between the two. which probably could have gone on for a long time. It's I don't know what else you can really say. He's absolutely mastered foreign policy and diplomacy at this point. It seems like the way he's going about it, the way he's thinking about it. And you got all these people, like you said, Mike, you have all these libertarians and you have all these other people, even conservatives like Tucker Carlson, out and about, just, oh my God, it's World War III when we struck. But that's as far as it went. Trump isn't like other presidents or other leaders or anything we've really seen before. He said, this is where we're going to go, this is how, and it's going to end it. We solved the problem.
Well, let me throw something in there, because Trump is not above critique.
No.
He has done things that I don't like. He has pushed towards the edge of what I thought was acceptable, what was legal. Absolutely. He's gotten close to that a couple of times. Like some of the things in dealing with Harvard, when he was asking them to make certain changes, like their admission, who they could allow into Harvard, like their admission policies. They're an independent college. They have the right to let anyone who can enter America, they can let anyone into their college that they want. That's on them. They're a private institution. Of course, American taxpayer money doesn't need to go to Harvard College. We don't have to pay for anything.
Yes, that's the caveat there. That they're receiving federal funds as well.
Right. But I thought Trump was wrong as an example. He's wrong to say, no, you can only let these kind of students in. You're wrong. You can't do that. But he's completely right. But we don't have to give them money. Yep. We don't have to help them. Yep. That's not a requirement. So there is that kind of thing where I'm like, yes, he's kind of wrong, but yes, he's kind of right. He's not above reproach. I love that many conservatives, many Republicans, many libertarians have questioned Donald Trump and what he's doing and how far he goes. And I think people like Rand Paul, Thomas Massie are correct to bring up issues and their concerns. I have no problem with that. I'm pointing out hypocrisy, though, and that all of the things that we have been told to be terrified of, everything that we have been hearing, the fear-mongering for the last 150 days, we've been told, be terrified, the world's going to end, everything is collapsing around you, and none of it has happened. In every single case, everything that they point to, it has, not to say that everything's been perfect, not to say that everything's been the best decision that's ever been made, but the world didn't end. And every time they act like the world's falling apart, sky's falling down, it's World War III, you're going to die. No, not once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. No, I'm more likely to criticize these people than you for not thinking that Trump had a plan, or they seemed like they really thought he was like every other president and wasn't going to keep his promises, but so far he's kept everything. So I am going to criticize more than you, more so than you. But we'll see, what happens in the next couple of months. But I think a lot of people need to remember that if Trump said he's not going to get into endless war, he's not going to get us into endless. He's not going to try to, and he wants to end it fast. And I think people need to remember that. He campaigned on that. No more endless wars.
Yeah, and I think he also campaigned on no nukes for Iran. Yes. He never hid that from anyone. He made it very, very clear in his first presidency and in the campaign, Iran cannot have a nuke, which Democrats have said, which every major first and second world nation said. No nukes for Iran. So he didn't lie to anyone. And we're not in a war. He didn't start a new war.
No.
So
he's kept all his promises.
So I think so. Not everyone agrees. Now, there are some other comments here. John Lashcombe, thank you, John, for your comment as well. Bernie was on Joe Rogan Experience today and given Thomas Massie some snarkiness. Massie deserves it when Massie says, oh my God, this is so unconstitutional, and then votes and See, I'd have a lot more respect at this moment. And again, I think Massey I like him on certain issues. I think he's very consistent most of the time. But then there's these little things that he does that I think are stupid. Look, I'd have a lot more respect right this moment as I showed everyone the vote where he said, no, I'm not going to impeach Donald Trump. Well, if it's unconstitutional, impeach Donald Trump. You vote for the impeachment. Yeah. Make your case. Vote for it. If you think it's not, if you're not willing to impeach Donald Trump on this, then it's not unconstitutional. And I don't care what the argument is, what language you want to use. If you think it's unconstitutional, then it's impeachable. Then you vote for impeachment. If you don't think it's impeachable, then it is constitutional. It is legal, and that argument is moot. Am I wrong in understanding it like that, John?
No, you're completely right. That's how I feel about the situation, at least. I feel the same way. I also want to point out how funny it is that Bernie Sanders is willing to go on Joe Rogan, despite his entire audience despising Joe Rogan and hating him so much and all these other things. But they'll utilize his platform even though his base completely attacks him.
Well, who did the Democrats have? Realistically, who did the Democrats have to go to? It's the same reason why Democrats don't know how to talk to men.
Yep.
They don't have any voice on social media, realistically, and they have no leadership in their party. All for the same reason. They don't want to have a conversation. They want people to obey. And if you want them to obey, then you don't have a conversation. You put out a press release, you put out a headline and say, obey, and it's over. But if this format requires interaction, I have to hear you, I have to respond to you, I have to pay attention. And if I'm not doing that, then I have no audience. That's Joe Rogan, that's Larry Sharp, that's Hard Lens Media, that's me. That's how that works. Why don't the Democrats have any comparable successes out there? Because they're not listening. They're demanding, they're commanding, they're saying obey. And that's why they have to go to Joe Rogan. It's the same reason why they have to get a gay woman who's overweight and unattractive to try and talk to men because they think she knows how to talk to men. I'm sorry, she's not the best person to pick to talk to men. Men aren't interested in what she has to say when she says, no, my soy boy friends tell me this is what they like to hear. Guess what? The average man isn't that soy boy friend. We have entirely different things that we value. And that's why Democrats are failing, I think. What do you think?
No, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. The Dems don't have anyone. They do have people.
Sure.
They're just absolutely out of their mind. The second biggest
Who do they have?
Hassan Piker. Love him or hate him, he does have a big audience. Love him or hate him.
Hassan Piker.
Love him or hate him, second biggest streamer on Twitch.
Okay.
Love him or hate him.
He's not political. He plays at being political. He's not political. He's an opportunist, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he'll jump on any opportunity that makes him money, absolutely. But he's got no serious values besides his own self-empowerment.
I'm not saying he does. I'm not saying, but his show is mainly political. He talks about political issues. Look, I don't like Hassan Piker more than you probably, but that's who the left has. Unfortunately, they're not gaining new these. They're not these people like Hassan Piker who the left actually have. They already have the mindset, the groupthink people who think like them. Meanwhile, shows like yours, Joe Rogan, they're willing to ask questions, disagree with them, and have an actual conversation. And I think that's the difference with the right and the left. The right is always willing to have that conversation from what I've seen. More so than any left-wing content creator would never. That's the big difference. And that's how I think the right is also winning a lot of people, is because they're willing to have those conversations and those ideas.
I tend to believe so. And by the way, I'm more than happy to let more people. At the moment, I'm using a different format. This was a last-minute jump online. I just wanted to share some thoughts. So I'm a little bit of a rant here today. It's not like the normal show where I'm a little bit more formal and prepared. This is all off the cuff. But if there are people who want to join me, John, join the stream right now, obviously send me a super chat. Tell me, hey, Mike, I want to talk to you. I want to jump in. Or if you already know me, send me a message. Text me. Send me a message. I'll send you the link. And you can jump in here because this is a different format than the OBS I normally use. So it's a little different what I can do here. But I don't know. I think it's important to have this conversation. And Grace is correct that Dems, they don't have talk radio. They failed. They tried to do it.
They tried to do it multiple
rules.
times.
They changed the rule to force people to listen to them on talk radio, and they failed. They tried to force people to listen to Michelle Obama tried to do her own podcast. Complete failure.
Yeah.
She's Michelle Obama and failed. No one cares. Why? Because they're not talking to people. They're just scolding us.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. That doesn't translate to votes. That's why they're falling apart. But that's not good for America. I want to reinforce, we need voices out there. We need platforms for people to be able to speak. I want libertarians. I want the third parties to be out there to challenge Republicans. That makes us have better candidates who can have come up with better solutions, who are more responsive to the public. I think it's good for the third parties and a reasonably strong Democratic Party to exist to help show people why Republicans and conservatives are right. I think the more you get to compare our values and our solutions to theirs, the more people say, no. It's like we're watching Donald Trump. You've been told he's a demon and he's evil and Orange Man bad, and the world is ending because Orange Man bad. And the reality that you are seeing with your own eyes is everything exactly that, exactly everything but that. And I think that's the best way to drive people towards Republicans. Trump is not that Trump is a Republican. He's not, but he's more conservative than the Democrats. He's more conservative than much of the Libertarian Party, absolutely more than the Democratic Socialists of America. So I think he is helping us, but I don't want the others to disappear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think it does. And I think, like we said, it explains why conservatives are winning most of these media and why they're winning podcasts. Like you said, Michelle Obama had a podcast. First one that came to mind for me. All the big five late night left-wing hosts like Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, they all had a podcast together. Do you remember that? Probably not, because it failed, despite them being.
Oh yeah, they did. That was during the. Wasn't that during the lockdowns?
Sure, and no one watched it even when they were stuck inside.
That's true. It was
That's
during the lockdown.
More of a reason to watch it, and no one cared.
Yeah, and absolutely no one cared.
They got every advantage during that time.
That's true. By the way, there is a question on who you are. So rather than me giving the summary, John, just a quick rundown of however you want to explain it.
Who am I? That's a good question. Former.
Well, I'll start off with you're white and you're a man.
Yes, that's true.
So there's two things. Go on. No.
No. I'm Sean. I've known Mike for a while. I worked for Mike for a couple of years. I interned for him. I worked in D.C. for a while at some big conservative groups. Worked out in a nonprofit, America First nonprofit in Arizona for a while. I stepped out of politics, but I still come on sometimes to discuss things. I have a degree in political science as well. Might be the only one in politics too. So that's just a friend of Mike. Yeah, known him for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So
all the news. Yeah.
To give people a little bit of what one of the reasons why I like having John on. One, he's younger than me. So he follows really stupid things that I don't care about at all.
That's true. That is true. That is very true.
That's like Ethan Klein. Don't care. Don't know anything about Ethan Klein. And my camera, by the way, is like overheating because it's 107 where I am right now.
Yeah.
So my camera's hot. But Ethan Klein and Hassan
I follow
Piker.
culture war. I follow
don't care
culture
about
war stuff. I do follow the internet culture war stuff more than Mike does. I will say that.
Oh, absolutely, you do. And because I don't care about any of it.
That too.
Yeah.
We have
And if people are
different
wondering,
opinions
like-
on what's important. Yeah, about politics. I believe that politics is culture, so you have to pay attention if you want to see where things are going, what direction.
Yeah.
Big believer
By the way,
in that.
folks, I'm still here. My camera is overheating, so I'm trying to fix it right now. Because, like I said, it's about 107 where I'm at right now. Like I said, it's last minute. I was just jumping on.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to fix my camera. But let's see. We got a comment from Grace who said, I tried to listen to Michelle Obama's podcast because I still kind of like her. I never did. But that podcast killed her career. She didn't have a career. Not in politics. She never had a career in politics. It's an exercise in narcissism. That is leftist politics. It is completely narcissistic.
I think that's also how you make a bad show, to be
I'm
fair, too. That's also a difference. The left-wing shows seem to be more about themselves than the actual guest or who they interview or having these conversations. It seems to be more of, let me tell you my thoughts rather than let me engage. I think that's a big, big, big thing to also remember. I think you brought up a really good point, Mike. The shows are just talking about themselves and their opinions, their feelings, instead of saying, here are the facts, here's my opinion, but these are the facts. Also, if you disagree with your show, if you disagree with you. Yeah.
I mean, that's how we started the show today. As I started off going, okay, here's, I'm showing you, here's the vote so that people can see the vote and make their decision about that. I'm showing people the example so that they can make up their own mind about this. Even as I'm trying to figure out how to put a picture up so that people can see a picture of me at least. And it's not working great. I have no idea what I'm doing right now, so don't pick on me. All right.
And also, I think it's good. Like, you had me on. Obviously, we don't agree on everything.
No.
As I've shown you, I don't agree. No problem, Grace. No problem for the introduction. But I don't agree with Mike on everything. And I follow very different things. And what I think is important in the world of politics, Mike may disagree.
Oh, yeah.
But
hell yeah.
We disagree on what's important, what's not, what, will have larger ramifications. But at the same time,
Ethan Klein is an idiot. The whole E3, what is that stupid thing with the E3? There's some kind of that whole insanity. I don't even know. You tell me about it from time to time. You follow that.
Yes, the copyright stuff where he is suing all of Hassan Piker's waiting room. Yes. Slowly.
Yeah.
Which is having an impact, by the way. Hassan is afraid to watch other people's content on stream now out of fear of getting sued.
Good.
So he is cutting things back. And depending on how this lawsuit shapes up, I'm wondering, the question now is, will Twitch continue allowing that kind of political content because of the strike be due to the political content? That's kind of a question people are. So what happens to all these political streamers, these left-wing streamers, because that's mostly what Twitch is. Very interesting things in that world. Oh, good photo of you, Mike, by the way. Looks good. But stuff like that I do find interesting and I think do have a larger impact, Mike, obviously. This does affect the younger generation a little bit more. But stuff like that, we disagree, but we're willing to have that conversation at least at all times. I don't know if Mike's still with us. But let's see. Let's take a look at some of the comments. I forgot Michelle Obama had a podcast, and I think that also goes to show how she was once so popular too. Michelle Obama had a very high popularity rating elected in the office, and she can't even make a podcast work.
Because she's
leftist
miserable.
celebrities. You're back, Mike, by the way.
Yeah, but I can't figure out how to.
But we can hear
again,
your
folks.
voice.
Yeah, you can hear my voice. My camera is screwed, so I'm trying to fix things here as we're going through. But it just tries.
By the way, we got a super.
Oh, we did.
Super
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, John, thank you for the super chat, John. John Lashcombe is always supporting, and we thank you for your support to the channel. That's $4.99. And God help us, that helps a lot. It makes a big difference. But of course, you can always just like, share, or subscribe, and I'll be just as happy. I mean, that also makes a big difference. But the money doesn't hurt because I'm poor. And obviously, I need something to cool my cameras and, replace my equipment. So everything helps. Thank you very much for that, John.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
I really do appreciate that. Go ahead.
Also, I'll plug it because Mike probably won't. Isn't it true that you also have a Patreon every month?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have a... you're right. I wouldn't plug it.
I'll do it for you. That way it doesn't seem like you're asking for the money.
My Patreon is just $1.50 a month. I know it's scrolling down below, but I have a Patreon. It's $1.50 per month. There's only one tier. There isn't more. So you're not spending more. I know some people do like, oh, give me $1,000 a month. Give me $50 a month. $1.50. That's it. It's just there to help me take care of some of the smaller bills and stay on, help replace some of the equipment that I have, and just to show your support for the channel. And if I have, if we can get to 5,000 people who are subscribed to the channel and 5,000 people who are subscribed to the Patreon, that covers all my bills. Thank God. So, I mean, I'm not looking to get rich here, and I'm working for it. So if you can, do join this Patreon. It's $1.50 a month. If you can't, not a problem. You can still like, share, and subscribe. And, you can also be like John and, drop in $5 for a super chat, or you can be like Rick, who, again, he had a super chat as well for $5. And you can do the same thing as Rick Reynolds. Hey, whatever works for you guys, I'm happy. I don't know. I just find it so interesting right now, as I still am working on trying to fix my camera. But I find it so interesting right now that we were promised World War III.
Yeah.
We were promised that the terrorists would destroy our economy, that everyone would lose their job. We were promised that hell on earth was going to happen, and it's not. And they're not even being honest about it. And they're not, and the very same people who have told everyone that the world's going to end, that everything's going to fail, when given the opportunity for the fourth time now to turn around and say, hey, I'm going to vote and impeach Trump because they think this was popular. They thought they had an issue, and they're wrong.
Yeah.
And guess what? They all back down. I mean, if they had the balls of their convictions, they'd at least stand up and say, no, he's, you know what? This time we think the law doesn't apply. And, even though Obama did it, even though Clinton did it, even though the rest of the world is backing down and actually America being great is actually taking the world. I truly believe this. Right now, the world is looking at, it is America first. It is MAGA, that the world is looking at us and going, hang on, We have a strong president with a strong focus. Not everyone likes it. Not everyone agrees with it, but everyone is taking it serious. Not because they love Trump, because that's not necessary. It's because we have a president who has a focus and is willing to say, we're America. We've got a big stick. We will use it. Shut up. We have a plan. Let's go with it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. And I'm curious what the after effects of how the DNC is going to shape up after the attempt. We're half their side. We've been shouting, resist Trump, stop Trump, had the opportunity, didn't do it. I wonder if more donors are going to pull out and it makes the Democrats weaker. I think the midterms are actually looking really good for Republicans. Normally Republicans would probably lose the House, and it's very early to say. We still have another year. But if things keep going, Republicans could probably keep the House, if not gain more seats. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays long term.
Well, here's the question. Mm-hmm. Because let's assume that how this plays out going forward. Normally, midterms, after a strong election, you see a slight reversal in the House, where so Republicans are supposed to historically lose some of their seats, and Democrats would have a slight majority. So we're talking like 221 to 217. Small, slim margin, but just enough they control the House. I don't see that happening now. I don't know that Democrats can come back from this pitfall. No one trusts any of their people. I mean, they're so desperate right now. They're trying to rely on Anthony Weiner, a convicted sex offender. They're relying on Andrew Cuomo, someone who was accused by their own AG and had to resign in disgrace, and he's their savior. They've got their hope is Mandami, a self-described basically socialist communist. This is their victory tour, and the next best choices are Newsom, Gavin Newsom.
You missed loser Newsom.
Well, Newsom is a complete failure. He's so bad. He mismanaged his state so badly that he was burning down Hollywood. Forest fires were burning down because of his mismanagement. State's bankrupt. It's a complete mess.
Yeah.
And AOC, who is an idiot. She's never accomplished
anything. She also
anything.
showed how terrible she is at politics because she couldn't get Trump dared her to do it, and she failed. This was her idea. This impeachment, let's be clear, this was her idea. This impeachment. Al Green may have brought it to the floor. She was the one pushing for it. And she failed. So she has no political legs to stand on nationally. She doesn't have any. And this is who the Democrats are going to put up. And I know I've been taught this. The Democrats aren't having money come into the DNC. Normally, in the midterms, you can campaign against the current president. You can say, oh, look at all these things he's done. It's not working. They're losing donors. They have maybe $4 million in the bank right now. And before you know it, midterms are going to be right around the corner. I think they're not going to win this. I think they're going to lose the midterms if things continue as they do.
So I want to address, John, I'm not trying to twist anyone's arm about the Patreon. Yep. I'm just making sure people know that is an option. Some people just want to donate $1.50 every month. Some people want to do more. They want to go PayPal or whatever. I just want to make sure people know what options are there to support so that we are able to do this on a regular basis. So I appreciate whether you're part of the Patreon or not, or whether you like, share, subscribe, or if you just watch the show. I appreciate it no matter what you do. But there was a question from Grace, and she's saying, do we think this leads to a more free Iran? I tend to think yes, in the long term. And I think this is true about what we're seeing in the direction of America as we become more conservative right now. We're seeing that everything is going more towards long-term thinking. One of the biggest problems with our government has been we aren't thinking of consequences. We haven't thought about all these laws that have been passed. No one thought about, well, what's the consequence? What happens? All the gun control laws. Or no one ever considered what's the consequence. You know what's the consequence of gun control? Women can't defend themselves. Women get hurt because they can't defend themselves against men who are 6 feet 6 inches to a foot taller than outweigh them by 75 to 100 pounds. Women get hurt because of gun control. That's the consequence. No one wants to talk about it because it's unpleasant, but that's the reality of what we're seeing. And because our politics stopped talking about consequences, politicians don't pay attention to it. Now we're seeing someone who's saying, and we have consequences. This defeat of the Ayatollah means that Iran is weaker, the hardliners are weaker, and there's more likely a regime change in Iran, probably when the Ayatollah dies, not before, but probably when he dies, there'll be a regime change. And that could lead to a better, more peaceful Iran, because Donald Trump embarrassed him, showed how that religious theocracy has failed, and shows that under a strong president, terrorism is not going to be accepted. I think that's the big difference there. Does that make sense, or do you disagree with me?
I think you're right. I don't know. I think you're probably right in the long term. One, because a lot of the hardliners who were in office are dead from airstrikes and things like that. I mean, they were specifically targeted by Israel. Two, I don't know what happens after the Ayatollah dies. The Middle East is very, very tricky when it comes to power vacuums. Nobody can predict anything, but I think you're on the right track. Probably, if I had to place money on it, because the Middle East is very, very unpredictable. You literally never know what could happen tomorrow. I would probably place my money on the same way you're thinking, Mike. But that's mostly because most of the hardliners have gone, like the big name hardliners are dead. And okay, this policy that they have where we're going to be anti-America is not working. Why don't we try something else and come to the table faster now? That might be the way they want to go. But we'll see. I don't know. The short answer is I have no idea, and I'm not going to guess too heavily on it. But I think you're right on the right track.
By the way, folks, you too can ask questions. We should be live right now on Rumble. We should be on X. We should be on Facebook and YouTube. I'm always happy to see your questions. Obviously, if you have a question that you put in a Superchat or a RumbleRant, we'll get to it much faster. But I'm always happy to hear questions, and whether you agree or disagree, it's perfectly fine. Make it respectful, of course. But as long as it's respectful, you can ask anything you want. I don't mind. But I think it's important that making America great means making America unified in terms of we love our country. We're willing to say we love our country. We're willing to say that regardless of any past mistakes, I'm happy to be an American. And to say that we have a vision for America and the world going forward. Mm-hmm. And I think we're getting that now. And we haven't had that for, I don't know. I would say G.W. Bush. Well, he loved America, but he didn't have a plan. I think the last person who had a plan was Reagan.
So much stuff go on during his administration. He had Hurricane Katrina, 9/11. I mean, there's no way to really have a long-term plan. But I don't think so with Bush. But yes, this is kind of the first time he has a long-term plan. Actually, I want to tackle Grace's question right here, Mike. I want to tackle it. Yeah. I think Tucker Carlson hurts himself more than he hurt Trump. I think Tucker Carlson now, after he was one of the biggest fearmongers for this strike and that being dragged into the war, even after he knows Trump. They've had personal communications before. He can get a hold of Trump if he wants to, really. He looked like a fool with his assessment. I think he looked really bad, and I think his fear mongering in the interview with Ted Cruz, I think, was a disaster for him in the long term, especially with some of the questions he asked were, I think, unfair. I think it hurts Tucker more than it will hurt Trump. Absolutely. I think Tucker actually hurt his reputation quite a bit with that one.
Okay, so Tucker interviewing with
Cruz.
with Ted Cruz, that was a setup. That was a gotcha. Because the truth is, does anyone care how many people live in Iran? No. Why? Wars aren't about people. Wars are about governments. So it doesn't matter how many people are there. We're not fighting 92 million people. We're fighting one government. That's the thing. Same thing about Hamas and Palestinians. We're fighting Hamas. That's a terrorist organization. That's the government of Gaza. It doesn't matter about the people. We're fighting the government. Same thing with, you name any war. We're fighting the government, not the people. People can be wonderful, fantastic people. Government's something altogether different. And governments have militaries, and that's who fights. So there's a big difference between the two. Tucker Carlson was, when he went and spoke to Ted Cruz, that was about getting views. That's one, those two have a back and forth relationship anyway. So it's somewhat personal. And it's a gotcha because Ted Cruz doesn't care about how many people are in Iran because it's unnecessary. It's unimportant. It means nothing. But asking the question he did makes it embarrassing. But no one cares because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And Ted Cruz looked bad because he wasn't prepared, because it's like, who cares? Honestly, who cares?
I don't think he looked bad in that interview. I think a lot of people walked away.
Thought he looked bad.
Really?
No,
I heard the opposite from people I talked to and I saw on the right-wing social media sites and stuff.
Well, Grace agrees with you, by the way. Grace agrees with you and said that I thought it was a stupid question, and I knew what it was because of what he did. I've seen enough gotcha questions out there in doing this political commentary 20 years. I get what he was, I know what Tucker was trying to do. So I'm an unfair person in this. But in terms of, did Tucker Carlson hurt Trump? You know, saying, who's MAGA? And, you know, President Trump saying, I'm MAGA. He is. He's the leader of MAGA. He is. I mean, he created the term. It's the same thing as if,
well, the term's been around a while, to be fair. Make America Great Again's been around for a while. But he's the one who's going to, he's the one who, you know, put it on the hat to make it an iconic symbol. I think you're right on the money with that.
Yeah, he who brought it into mainstream politics, Trump.
Yeah.
Who organized it, Trump.
Mm-hmm.
He monetized it. He mainstreamed it. He made this about politics, and he put policies behind it. So it gave it teeth. So yeah, he is MAGA. The problem we have isn't that is Trump MAGA? Does he lead it? Who comes next? Trump is old. Trump can't be, he doesn't get a third term. Who's next? Who's going to pick up the mantle and continue to move forward? That's my bigger concern. I don't care. Well, Trump's in charge. Well, he's also the president. He's also in charge of, and he is the Republican Party now. Why? Because he's the president and he's a Republican and he's in office right now. So does anyone care about that? No. No one's going, oh my God, do you represent Republicans? Yes, he does. By definition. Why? He's a Republican and he's the president. There you go. He defines the Republican Party right now. If you don't know that, if you don't like that, that's on you. But that's what he is. No one's asking that question because it's a dumb question. It means nothing. It's not important, realistically. It's a figurehead. It's a status thing. Mm-hmm. I think Tucker, in going after Trump, he was trying to find a way to put pressure on Trump to prevent what I'm steel manning him here. He thought that Trump was going to inadvertently fall into a trap from Israel, and he was going to get America into a forever war. And so he needed some way to make Trump stumble or to rethink his position so that he would not suddenly bring America into a forever war. That's what I think he was trying to do. I think the same thing with Steve Bannon. They were trying to give a pause to Trump so that he did not fall into a forever war. I think Trump already, and I say this because we know this plan took months, weeks, at least weeks, but realistically months to put together. Trump already had the plan. He wasn't falling into a trap. He already had all his options in front of him. He knew exactly how far he wanted to go, how far he wanted America to go. And he was absolutely confident that he knew what Israel wanted. He knew what Iran wanted out of this. And he knew what he wanted. He had a plan. He had a focus. He wasn't falling into any trap. They just didn't know that because they are used to having someone leaking them and saying, no, we've got a plan. And then they turn around and tell everyone else, no, you don't understand. There's a plan. And now the plan's out in the world and the plan doesn't work anymore. They weren't thinking of that. Yeah. So, and again, I'm taking the steelman approach here. They were trying to, in their own way, help Trump. And they thought the only way to do that is to try and stop his momentum a little bit so that he's forced to rethink his plan or to create a plan, not knowing he already had a plan in place and he was already executing the plan. So they made themselves look bad long term.
I don't think Bannon looked as bad, to be fair. Bannon didn't do this like Tucker did, because Bannon met with Trump privately as well. I think that also helped Bannon. I'll defend Bannon on this one, because even though I disagree, I like Steve Bannon a lot, by the way, full disclosure, but I think he was wrong on this. But he also went about it the right way. He met with Trump privately. They had the conversation. He was seen at the White House before the strikes. Tucker tried to do it on this national stage to put private on the Bannon approach, and I think that made him look bad. And it also brings it, when you have gotcha questions like that, it also brings into question what your purpose is as an interviewer, as a journalist. Mike, have you ever given someone like a really bad gotcha question? I can't think of a single time that you've...
On purpose?
Yeah.
Not on purpose.
Well, exactly. That's the difference.
I did have one guy who I was interviewing, a candidate. He happened to be at the time, he was a Democrat running for the New York 22nd District. And I asked him a question. This is back in 2017.
Was I there for that?
And it was, huh?
Are we thinking of the same person?
Dan something or other up in Utica.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Not the same person.
No, different guy. And so I asked him a question, and he literally lied on camera. Yeah. And I was like, no, you don't get to lie on camera. I know the answer. I know the answer to the question. You can't, and what you just said is a lie. And he's like, no, it's the truth. It's like, no, it's not. So he was caught because he lied. But I've never actually tried to do a gotcha because gotchas they're great for a 30-second.
Hal says differently. Hal says you did it to him to start his interview.
No, I disagreed with Hal. I didn't give him a gotcha. Never. I don't do that.
That's not what Hal's saying in the comments.
No, I didn't. No, I ask difficult questions. Absolutely. I ask challenging questions. Absolutely. I don't do gotchas. And by the way, for people to know, I wasn't talking about Hal. I was talking about another guy, Dan. And to Hal's credit, we did, I think, 90 minutes of an interview, if I'm remembering it properly. Yeah. I think I did about 90 minutes. We disagreed on several points. He got to answer every question as fully and as much as he wanted to. I did not cut him off. I did not edit him. I allowed him. We talked about the issues that were involved in the race we were talking about, which I believe was the New York 22nd race at the time. Hal was a Republican, and we had different points of view. It's not a gotcha. Tough questions? Yes. I've made members of Congress are afraid to do interviews with me because I ask tough questions. members of the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate. I got a lot of politicians who are afraid to talk to me because I don't put up with them lying. But I don't do gotcha. And Hal, if you can, yes. Hal says he's got the question. What was the question, Hal?
You are a handsome fellow, extremely popular. What do you owe to your success?
I love you, Hal. You're great, Hal. I love you, Hal. That's great. Okay. And by the way, folks, you can look up the interview with me and Hal. Please do. I thought it was a good interview. Hal was a first-time candidate, and I wanted to make sure that people could hear why he was running and what he believes. And sometimes Hal and I disagree, even to this day. But you know what? I always love to hear from Hal. I've never shut him down. So there you go. But I love that, Hal. That was funny. You got me laughing. I wish you could see me laughing on camera. My camera's still overheated, but all right.
Yeah. But so I think overall the gotcha questions, and I think it makes me look at least Tucker in somewhat of a different light and asking what motivations. Is it actually going for the truth, or is it trying to make, gotchas? And that's the difference also between you and I think Tucker, to kind of point it out. That's why I asked Mike, have you ever asked a gotcha like that? You ask fair questions that can be difficult, but aren't trivia. That's what I was asking for, trivia facts, like a Jeopardy game. So yeah. I think that hurts him overall.
Yeah, man. Like I said, what he was asking of Cruz was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because again, no one cares.
Yeah.
How many people are in Angola right now? These are the kind of things that they ask as gotchas. How many people in the Sudan died yesterday? No one knows and no one cares. By the way, the Sudan has been in a civil war for the last 3 years, started under the Biden administration. 16,000 Americans are still somewhere in the dark. We don't know where all 16,000 Americans abandoned by the Biden administration in 2023. We don't know where they are. No one cares. No one talks about that war. Oh my God, but what about the people? What about those people? You don't care. What's happening in Burkina Faso right now? Oh, they're having a civil war too. By the way, that was started by ISIS. So it's a terrorist war and it's a religious war. And what about those people? No one cares. Don't talk to me about it's the people. No one cares. So when you see gotchas, it's stupid because it's not important. We're talking about governments. We're talking about government policy at a geopolitical level. That's just wasting people's time. That's the way I've always seen it. And I know a lot of people right now, and that's why I spend the first 2 hours of my Sunday show talking about politics every week. Because no one pays attention to this stuff. I do. No one else does. No.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, we're only going to go another 15 minutes.
Sure.
John, I wasn't expecting John to be here. So.
Yep. Also, quick question, Mike. Since it's getting to that time, and it's almost 9 o'clock, polls are almost closed in New York. Do you want to talk a little bit about your predictions for the mayor race, since it's primary day in New York, where you are, and polls are going to close in 22 minutes? Do you want to give your final predictions for people? As someone who lives in the city and probably knows better than anyone else.
Absolutely. Please let my camera come on now. No, it still won't. God, I hate this. Okay. No, I'm trying to get the camera on because I wanted to say this in person. Okay. And again, my camera's off because it's 107 degrees where I'm live streaming right now. I can barely keep the computer going. But if you are a Democrat, because, by the way, if you're a libertarian, if you're third party, you're Green Party, which are nut jobs. But if you're Green Party, you're the Communist Party. If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, you have no voice today. The voting going on right now has nothing to do with any of the people. This is about Democrats. And if you're a Democrat and you haven't voted yet, thank you. Probably the best thing you could have possibly done. because none of the 8 people running deserve the job. First of all, ranked choice voting sucks. It is horrible. Oh,
I was going to say, it is very
please
bad.
pick all of the losers that you like. Look, you have one candidate. Either your candidate is good enough and they win, or they suck and they lose. That's it. Everyone has to deal with that. I don't need a list of, okay, your guy, your first choice sucked. Who else sucks that you want to have in there? They weren't good enough to be your first choice, but they're good enough to be on the list of losers that you like. I'm sorry. Ranked choice voting is stupid. This is a great way to get a bunch of losers all on the stage at once. Yes, it is freedom. It is a way to get your voice out there. I'm not against that. You know what? Have more debates. That would be better. Lower the bar for people to do long form political commentary and get these candidates on talking to real people. That would be better, but you can put them on ranked choice voting, and it's stupid. This is the great way to scrape the bottom of the barrel and put them in elected office. Here we go. My number 16,000 choice is now going to run the government. I can't imagine how that could possibly not blow up in my face. How could they not screw up? Because they were like the loser no one wanted, but they wound up being there because ranked choice voting. It's stupid. Anyway.
By the way, someone you need to clip that and
what?
Choice voting. Tell us how you really feel. So you need to clip that later. That'll be up as a short. I guarantee it has to. Because that was I think okay. I have a different opinion on ranked choice voting. I think it's stupid.
By the way, before you go there, I want, if I have to choose, I'll take Cuomo because I think Curtis Lewa can be Cuomo. Mandami is out of his mind. He's a socialist, communist nut job with visions. He's taken too much LSD in his life because that's the only way you can get to the conclusions that he has about how government should be run. But he might win. I don't think he will, but he might win because it's ranked choice voting, and the loser of the loser wins. Go ahead.
No, I think ranked choice voting, similar to what you said, but a little. I think it's bad because it makes no sense. It's stupid. Nobody really understands it. If you ask anyone in New York City, I'm sure they don't get what happens in ranked choice voting with the rounds and the stuff, and it's overly complicated. And Mike is right. This is how you get a lot of losers coming out of the woodwork and crazy. I don't know who's going to win this. I'm not in New York City. I'm not supporting it. I hope none of them win. I hope somehow 0 votes. There you go. That's
wait a minute. We're getting a response that Cuomo. I wouldn't be surprised if Cuomo won already. That would not shock me. And I know that's what most of the estimates out there were. Cuomo won, but there were a lot of progressives out there saying, no, it's not over. Look, I have my own miraculous imaginary vision of how this is going to work out. And in that wonderful wet dream of, LSD and rainbows and unicorns, they've got Mandami winning like in the 15,000th version of this. He wins, but let's see. I'm looking it up right now.
No, I haven't seen anything yet. No one has come back yet. No votes yet.
Well, the voting is still going on until 9. So we've got 15 more minutes. So there shouldn't be, no one should have a definitive answer.
No.
But okay. Grace is saying that was a typo. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't know if you had some crazier things happen. New York politics is known for its corruption. It wouldn't be a surprise to be like Chicago and the voting was done before the voting was done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm checking right now. A lot of people apparently don't know about the Anthony Weiner scandal. Apparently, that's why a lot of people supported him.
What?
Yeah, I'm reading right now some of the interviews the Post did while I'm checking. Apparently, Anthony Weiner got votes because they had no idea about his past. They had no idea about him. Oh, good God.
He's legally okay. I got yelled at the other day. I was on in the chat on a different show, and I got yelled at a lot. And I probably, I don't think I should.
Hold on. Also,
because
I know, John, about the lighting. I know, John, the problem is if I turn off my lights, the fan turns off, and it's about 100 in here as well. So I apologize for the lighting going in and out. I apologize for that beforehand. But if I turn off the lights,
folks,
the fan goes off, and yeah.
This is why your donations mean so much, folks, because unlike CNN, MSNBC, and all the guys who've got wonderful studios with 10,000 employees and air conditioning, I'm just a poor bastard out here in the Bronx, and John is slightly more rich than me, still poor, just like me. And we got to deal. We do this because we love you guys, not because we're rich, because we're not. So please like, share, subscribe. Let me get to 5,000 subscribers. Come on, get me to 5. I'm not even asking for 50,000. 5,000 subscribers, and with some people in Patreon and some people with super chats, and I'm a happy man. But we'll see. I think that this is. It just doesn't work. Yeah. This system we have right now, the fact that people are voting for Anthony Weiner because they didn't know how disgusting he has been in his life, that they don't know the scandals, massive scandals that involve the presidency of the United States and potential candidates for the presidency of the United States. And they didn't know that that his scandal was dealing with underage children or a underage child. And they didn't know about this. That should be basic knowledge about this candidate. Our system is broken. Our system is broken.
It's not like you don't have the opportunity to also research it. You have a smartphone. Everyone has one. You can look up all these people. I don't know. I don't get that.
No one does it.
Yep.
By the way, thank you, Peace Logic. Peace Logic came in with 99 cents for a super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's not about the amount. It's the fact that you guys do it. That's what matters. That's the support that I'm talking about. We're not rich people. You know what? If Donald Trump or the Kardashians or I don't know, any of the rich uppity ups want to come in and give me $1 million for this show, fantastic. But I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon. No, this is about real people, real conversations, real thought. So
real lighting issues, real camera issues as well.
Exactly. You're in your house like real people. We have 100-degree rooms. Our rooms are 100 degrees and the equipment doesn't work in 100 degrees. It happens.
Yeah.
And I was just going somewhere before I went with that.
You're talking about Anthony Weiner.
Yeah. People don't look at their cell phones.
No.
They don't look. They don't look up information at all. Look, I don't expect people. I've been doing political commentary, this, for 20 years. Yeah. When you were working as my intern, I made you watch and read politics probably 3 times as much as you had normally done in your life. I probably tripled your load of
I'd say about the same. But it was still a lot, don't get me wrong. But it definitely, I would say it's about the same. But it definitely was way more than the average person. I have about 6 news apps on my phone at once, all sending me notifications.
Okay. So you're a political junkie. And I spend, I spend 12 hours a day on this. I don't expect people to do that.
No.
But it is not asking too much to do a Google search on, and we have AIs now. Makes it even easier.
They can tell you. I was going to say, Chat GPT can literally tell you everything.
Well,
they can read it off to you.
Don't trust just one. Don't trust one, because Chat GPT gets things very wrong sometimes. Yeah. So, use Chat GPT and use Grok from X and ask the same exact question, and you'll be amazed how they'll give you different information, it's different answers, because it's the way they were taught to look for something. But at least do that, and And then you'll know something about the candidate, especially you might find out something interesting like they're a map, which would be a minor attracted person. I think that's kind of important in an election. It's about character. I think that matters. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think of it that way. But people don't do it anymore. Why? Because you're told the news media is going to tell you everything you need to know in 30 seconds. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is this? John says CNN is hard to watch. He's right. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch ABC. I don't look at cable news. Believe it or not, I get my news, written articles and published articles from around the world, whether it's on YouTube or Rumble but I look at credible news sources around the world, and I virtually never go to CNN or MSNBC, ABC, Fox News. I don't go to any of them, left or right. I don't. If it's on cable, I'm not looking at them. They're the last source I'm going to use, because that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood news. It's not real. So I agree with them. CNN is horrible. What do you think of that?
I also don't have cable news anymore, but I read a lot more conservative pieces than you. I do read Breitbart every single day, at least 4 times a day. New York Post. I do read Fox. I don't watch it though. So me and Mike are different on what sources we go to, as well.
Yeah. Hey, here's one that absolutely is never. So I constantly. You guys do not understand that in the background, in the backbone of these systems, since I'm a content creator on YouTube, Google is constantly sending me these requests, these insights. They want me to be inspired, and they keep sending me clips of The View. And they've been doing this for like a year and a half now. That they've been trying to convince me that, Mike, you Midas touch. You should tell people how great The View is, and as they attack everything that's not a Democratic command. I'm like, no, nothing like that. Anyway, so The View, the other day, I did hear about this, because I do hear about what they do on The View. It's stupid. It's politics for people who like to be parrots. That's what The View is. And their politics is parroting. And they said they were upset because Donald Trump, he kept a secret. He didn't tell Congress. He didn't tell the world that we had a contingency plan to blow up nuclear weapons from a terrorist nation that has sworn to kill every American, including the liberals, including the progressives. And they have tried. By the way, because people love to say, but they say it all the time. Yeah, but they do it. They've paid to have people assassinated. They have they have trained terrorists around the world who have used bombs and guns and knives to kill people around the world, in particular Americans. So it's not an empty threat. When they say it's death to America, I believe them, because they train people to kill Americans. So it's not an empty threat. And no, he doesn't need to tell Iran that we're going to blow up their nuclear capabilities. The people on The View are stupid. No comment?
Mike, you summed it up. I don't know. I don't know anyone who watches The View. I don't know why it's constantly recommended to you. I don't get that. I don't think I've ever watched more than 10 seconds of The View, so I can't really comment. I do know this is probably why they aren't military leaders or generals or in the intelligence community or ever will be. It's best not to tell everyone everything, aka don't tell our enemies everything. That's probably a good idea. But, I mean, comment too much on The View, as I don't watch garbage like that. Or seek it out.
Not until afterwards, anyway. Okay, here's the thing. So, Peace Logic says, what happened to you guys? No AC. Okay, for myself, and John will attest to this, I've never owned an AC. I don't have air conditioners. I've never had an air conditioner. I don't have umbrellas. I don't own any umbrellas. I don't own any air conditioners. Don't use them. I've had one fan. That's it. I like warm weather, and I don't really think it's worth the expense. Grew up without air conditioners, don't need air conditioners. You'll get uncomfortable, you'll get past it. That's my answer in general. And it's expensive. I spend money on other things, like trying to get better cameras and better microphones and better computers, stuff like that. And occasionally I have a girlfriend and then I have to spend all the money on her instead, which is even more aggravating. But anyway, that's not the case right now. Anyway, so that's why I don't have any AC. And we've got 6 minutes. So one more thing. Peace Logic, because he gave us the 99 cents, the super chat. He goes, the view is awful. I used to like Whoopi Goldberg back in the day. When she was a comedian, she was great. She's now trying to be a political commentator. She sucks. She's not a political commentator. She's a parrot. She's a political parrot. That doesn't mean she's a bad human being. It doesn't mean that she's not a good comedian. It doesn't mean that I hate black women. I've heard all these stupid things before. But Whoopi Goldberg is terrible at political commentary. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's reading off a script, and the script comes directly from the DNC. And I have no respect for that. But is she a good actress? Okay. Is she a good comedian? Far better than most. Is she rich? Hell yeah, she's richer than me and most people. And she knows nothing about political commentary. That's the way I feel about Whoopi Goldberg. And I think if more people did, that would be better. Did you? Okay, you didn't freeze. All right.
No, I didn't freeze.
Okay, so we've got 4 minutes left, and I want to hear. My camera is not coming back. It's at the moment. The heat wave has killed it for the moment. Until it cools down, it's not going to do a damn thing. So, in ending this, I know you're not as political these days, and I thank you for taking some time to jump on. Last minute, literally 5 minutes before I went live, I'm like, "You want to jump on?" He was like, "Yeah, okay." So I appreciate that you just came on. It wasn't too abusive for you. These are all my thoughts, and John's just here to,
Well, I'm also not afraid to disagree with Mike. Some people are. Some people get on and they're afraid. No, I'll tell Mike when he's wrong.
I don't mind. People don't realize, like, I'm way worse in person. I'm way worse in person. I'm a fair person. I'm a harsh person. Yeah. I'm far worse in person than when I'm doing the show.
Yes, and I'm not afraid to back down. So that is a different way to look at it, as I've said to Mike a couple of times this show that he's wrong. But
so we've got 2 minutes. Tell me, you close out the show any way you want to close it up. You got 2 minutes.
I think to close off my final thoughts with Trump with Iran and where I think it shows the Democrats don't know where they're going. With the impeachment vote, they don't know where they're going. A lot of Democrats are trying to move to the progressive wing and think that's the answer. That's clearly not working. As I talked about David Hogg raising only 1.5 million out of 20 million he said he was going to donate to or raise. I don't know where the Democrats go from here, and I think Trump continues to win, and hopefully we can continue to have peace in the Middle East, just like Trump promised. So just the final thoughts are, I don't think the Democrats get any better after this impeachment vote. I think they're way worse shape. And I think Trump continues to have victory after victory after victory in the Middle East, at least, and might win a peace prize.
Okay.
Final thoughts.
All right. My final thought here is, folks, as you can see, we're still testing systems, trying to find ways to be able to better have you involved and have you part of the show. Tell me in the comments, if you will, do you prefer what I'm using, Rumble Studio? Do you prefer that I'm using, this is Restream Studio? Let me know which one you like better so that I can give you the best experience possible. Show up every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I do a much more formal, more organized thing. Do tell me if you like when I just do something off the top, like today's show, like yesterday's show. They were just sudden out of the blue, just like, yeah, let me jump on the news. Let me know if you like that. Most of all, I appreciate each and every one of you. I thank you for the time you've given me today. I look forward to having you all back as part of our audience. John, go get cool. I got to walk my dog. Then I'm going to jump in the shower. I will talk to you guys later. Okay?
Have a good night, everyone.